So here the Eastern Ghats region is connected, especially in the Nalamalais to Sesashalam and then to the Eastern Ghats of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka area, though it is broken at different places. And by building of the corridors, I think we can definitely allow the migration of the species from north to south, south to north. Now the population of the tigers are proliferating in the northern side, and space has been crunched. And now the surplus animals are migrating towards the southern parts of the Nalamalais, southern part of the northern part of the Shashachalam hills. Now the population is increasing. So also in the Telangana region, once we had declared in the combined state, the Telangana region is totally zero for the tigers, and slowly the population has spread into the Telangana region also. Now the tigers are proliferating. See, why I'm talking about the tigers, when I'm talking about the tiger, it means talking about the entire range of the biodiversity. Biodiversity here, the tigers represent the apex, as an apex animal, it represents the entire range of the biodiversity of the area. So, uh, coming to the Gundla Brahmeshwara Wildlife Sanctuary, it's a paradise for biodiversity. We could able to describe many new faunal species from this region also. And to the right of it, to the left of it, we have a small sanctuary is known as Great Indian Bustard Sanctuary, Rolapadu Wildlife Sanctuary. It is a host sanctuary for the Great Indian Bustard. Great Indian Bustard is to be seen and not only Karnool, Prakasham, Anantapur and Kadapa, Mahabubnagar districts. It was also seen in the Rangareddy district. In the present Samshabad airport, I could able to locate them in the Samshabad airport in 2011. Because of the destruction of the grasslands for various purposes, for house plots, for irrigation, all these things, now the population has dwindled. This is the exclusive Indian subcontinent bird species, now highly endangered. In early 1900s or mid 1900s, there used to be about 50,000 great Indian busters used to hover in the skies. Now the population is less than 100 numbers. That is mostly you are seeing in the Rajasthan desert area, and we are sharing the population with the Pakistan, where it is being hunted by the shikaris there. In Karnool district, we have an exclusive sanctuary allocated for this, for the proliferation of the great Indian bustard. We could able to, my PhD is on the breeding biology of the great Indian bustard. I think it is the first of its kind where the breeding biology of this great Indian bustard has been studied very much in detail, for which I got my PhD. And coming to the southern part, still, you are seeing the red sanders forested areas. Red sanders is an exclusive Indian species, not seen anywhere else in the world. Exclusive Indian species, that too in Andhra Pradesh, restricted only to the Kadapa, Chitturu, and little parts of the Karnool and Prakasham districts. It is sought over, highly valuable species. And coming to the Sashachalam hills, Sashachalam is also has a lot of endemic species, and new species have been discovered by my disciples also in this region. And looking at the larger parts of the ecosystems in Eastern Ghats, they are mostly of semi-evergreen to moist deciduous and dry deciduous and dry evergreen forests. This one now you are seeing uh, a mosaic of forested ecosystem. There is a large representative ecosystems, and geologically very valuable, biological, culturally, and religious and scenic values. It has an exceptional medicinal plant diversity. During 1998, we have made a detailed inventory of medicinal plants, and involving all the universities from Andhra Pradesh, and we could able to discover about inventories about 350 species of medicinal plant diversity. There are many endemic and endangered flora and fauna in the Eastern Ghats, and still there are rich unexplored biodiversity still available, and also it's a lifeline to the indigenous tribals for fuel, fodder, and non-wood forest produce, and for grass and all these things. And also the Eastern Ghats are a large upland catchment area for the lowland plains. It receives rainfall and drains to the plains, and thus it contributes large amount of water bodies to the down south. Now what you are seeing is the combined tiger project of both Andhra Pradesh present and Telangana area. The river Krishna cutting in the middle of the this tiger reserve, and the northern part is the Andhra Pradesh tiger reserve, and the southern part is the Amravati tiger reserve. That's how the habitat look like in the Eastern Ghats in most of the areas. So also in the Nalamalais, you have because the geological formations are Archean rock formations, and lots of shales are there. Soil is very shallow. That's why you're not finding a very dense forest here. Almost the trees are like a dotted trees. And also we have plenty of water bodies available, especially because of the river Krishna cutting across the forested area here. And also you are seeing lots of seasonal waterfalls, because as I told you, it's a large catchment area. It contributes a lot of water bodies, and all these things are seasonal water, and also perennial water bodies are also there, both in Andhra side and also Telangana side. Because of this large water bodies accumulating both from the Krishna and Tungabhadra, government has constructed a dam across, and it is contributing both for irrigation and also hydroelectric uh, electricity. And what you are seeing now is the are you able to see my presentation?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
this is the kind of landscape we have in Eastern Ghats. Especially this is the Sri part of landscape, where you can find the geographical structure, both vertical and horizontal. Also, you can find it vegetal, and also the different kinds of benefits that accrue because of the forest in the ecosystem. You find this kind of large escarpments, large gorges all along that, and in the slopes you'll find a profuse grass production. This is the lifeline for the cattle. Many cattle from the plains, about more than 3 lakhs cattle, they migrate into these forested areas during the hot summer season, where they don't find any grass in the plain areas. That's how it also supporting the uh, domestic animal population. Also along the river Krishna and other rivers, you also find different kinds of dens, different kinds of caves. Now you are seeing the large escarpment, and also large span of a single monolith stone about 50 meters long, and supported by a nicely carved pillar-like things. These are not carved, or no architecture is involved in that. It is a natural formations, because when it rains on the uplands, water used to flow through these caves, and it used to erode all the sandstones and giving rise a kind of a pillar like these things. Here you will find lots of cave animals inside, and you also find such a big and large, huge, tall, lofty trees in the Eastern Ghats. Eastern Ghats are no way inferior to the Western Ghats. It has got every quality that the Western Ghats composed of. So we have in the Nalamalais, we have enumerated, inventorized. These are some of the floral species, about more than 100 species, and medicinal plants, as I told you, 350 species, and 29 species of grasses, and of which about there are critical endangered species about 10, and endangered 21, vulnerable species 27. Mostly this is composed of teak forest. The southern part, the Eastern Ghats are mostly except the Orissa part, Orissa Chhattisgarh, where you will find the sal forest. Sal and teak. Teak is a transitional belt along the Sukuma, along the Andhra Pradesh, Orissa, and Chhattisgarh border. And south of it, you will find only the teak. You don't find the sal forest except the Saluri in Andhra Pradesh. You mostly will find the teak, that is called Tectona grandis, and we have plenty of 10 tomatas. There's a crocodile bark trees, 10 bellerica, Lagostemia parviflora, Chlorosum swietinia. That gives lot of revenue to the people. Boswellia serrata, Soemida, Maduka indica, Buchnania langifolia, latifolia, Butea monosperm, Dendrochilama strictus. This is a plenty. This gives a lot of revenue to the, not only for the forest department, even to the local people. And these are some of the floral assemblages we have. And also we have different types of forest types: tropical moist deciduous, dry deciduous, scrub forest, savanna forest, and this is a woodland savannas actually it is called. And we have, as I told you, these are the different species competition as already described by our Professor Pulai. So I will skip all these things because it takes a lot of time, because already it has been detailed by our professor. And we also have Orchis epiphytes, parasites in this area, Vanda tessellata, Dendroptera falcata, Taxillus tomentosa, like these things, and many more things have been identified by the Krishnadevara University people, scholars, and also professors, and all thanks to them for their stupendous work in this belt. And also, as is already told, Andhrographis Nallamalayana has been described from this Nallamalais and Euphorbia lenifolia, Nallamalayana, total area Madurensis. These are some of the things already been told by our professor. So coming to the fauna, I would like to go in detail about the fauna because this is my profession, this is my fascination, this is my, I have a lot of studies made in this faunal side. We have the apex animal species, land animal carnivore, the apex species. The tiger is the apex animal, followed by the panther, and followed by the wild dogs and hyenas. These are some of the topmost carnivore species seen mostly in the entire Eastern Ghats belt, and also the apex species in the avian fauna is the Brahminic kite and other kites also there. In the aquatic region, mostly these are all freshwater crocodiles we have. Crocodile, we have both estuarine and freshwater. Crocodiles polystrus, crocodiles porous. The estuarine crocodile now got extinct because of the killing by the fishermen in these areas. The last was captured, and we have read it in the Indira Gandhi Zoological Park. It's the largest crocodile in this area. And these are some of the inventories we made about the most of this Eastern Ghats part, and you're seeing different mammals, aves, reptiles, amphibia, and we have made a detailed inventory of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana region about the faunal species when it was in the combined state, and I will give you a detailed account of these things. We have the tiger, leopard, cat, leopard cat also. We have Indian wolf, wild dog, jackal, and herbivores, we have the spotted deer, sambas, barking deer, chinkara, chausinga, nilgais, and also we have the antelopes. We have four-horned antelope, and also we have the black bucks we have, and other smaller carnivores of honey badgers, smooth Indian otters, small Indian civets, and all these small sloth bear. These are some of the animal species composition, and we made a detailed account, made a detailed inventory of the Nalamalai and Sasashalam regions. I am presenting at present because I could not able to update it because of the shortage of the time. And these are some of the insect species, different orders, and all these things. And arachnids, we have made a detailed account of arachnids, and that has been published by the occasional records by the Geological Survey of India, and detailed work has been done on the arachnid fauna and others amphibious. We have made it detailed work on the reptiles and aves and migratory species, mammalian species like this. And new species, to our credit, we have described Poecilotheria nullamalensis tulsi on after my name, and also Maris salamensis tulsi, Phrynicus andarensis, wish spider, that's also tulsi, and Metachromasis nigroephemerita, that's also described. It's a new to the world, new to the country, new to the eastern western Ghats and Himalayas. These are the some of the new species, and many more species are in the line. These are the species. If all these things are photographed in the eastern Ghats only, so the population of the herbivores are proliferating like anything, and blacks also black bugs, and people now. Hello, hello.
You're audible, sir.
Audible. Okay. Okay. Now you are seeing people are complaining against the proliferation of the some of these animals, especially black bug, saying that it is damaging the crops and all these things. And we have taken lots of measures to contain this animal population with a very novel way that I will be sharing detail. And during our inventory, we have reported some Western Ghats species not been reported in the Eastern Ghats, and first report from the Andhra Pradesh in the country, and Himalayan species not reported elsewhere in the South India, and we have reported species reported from the Nalla for the first time. First report the Eastern Ghats to the country, and there are still unidentified species new to the Nalla. So these are the some of the species we have inventorized Western Ghats species. First report to Andhra Pradesh, some of the Himalayan species, Cypraphis sagittaria, Cantus black-headed snakes, and some species reported one exclusive to Nalla. First report to the Eastern Ghats in the country, unidentified species. And these are the first records of the fauna from Andhra Pradesh, from Arachnida spiders. So I will give you a detailed account of these spiders. Pardon?
Yes, sir. You go on, sir.
Yeah, these are the mantids, varieties of mantids from the Eastern Ghats. These are the some of the reptiles, and Geocheilon elegans, that is star tortoise, is being smuggled from the Eastern Ghats. This is a dry animal species, and seen only in the in India and Sri Lanka only. And a detailed breeding biology has been studied by me and as early as 1980s and submitted to the work. And it has been rated. That was the first record of studies on the Geocheilon elegans, and other studies also we made it. These are some of the amphibian species we found in the Eastern Ghats, and Calula taprobana, you are seeing the painted Calula in the down below on the left side. It is a rare occasion. When I was coming out from a laboratory, suddenly something fallen on my head. To my surprise, when I looked up, actually one kite, it was carrying it, and suddenly it escaped from its talons and fallen on me, and all these things. And mostly these pieces are, we have inventorized 365 days, all the seasons, day and night. So therefore, you could able to inventory the major number of species from this Eastern Ghats area, and submitted our publications in most of the very reputed journals of the country and abroad. And these are the some of the very important spiders. We all know that spiders are they are rendering invaluable service to the humankind, especially communities living in the Eastern Ghats. So there are arbor spiders are there, Nephilias. See, now we are seeing the bottom side, first row bottom. So Nephilia maculata. This is a big arbor spider. It makes its orb web between the trees, very big orb webs. It filters all the pests that travel through into the crop areas and kill. And also you are saying these are all invisible species. You may be seeing big trees, you may be seeing small tree, small vegetation, but you may be seeing bigger animals. But these are all very invisible creatures. So we studied both on the surface, under the litter, under the soil, and we could able to solve it. Now we are seeing the center. That's a scarecrow spider. See, it is looking like it's representing a human face. It has got nicely trimmed eyebrows, beautiful eyes, a big mustache like Chiranjeevi mustache, and also it has a pandit like half-shaven head, and also on the forehead it has a trishul and crossbands, Vibhuti crossbands, telling us both Saivism and Vaishnavism is one and the same. Why you fellows are fighting for each other, fighting with each other and all this. There's another spider, and there is in the south, in the third corner, you are seeing a Ganesh spider. It represents the Ganesh spider. In the down here, seeing the ant mimic spiders. There are varieties of spiders we have invented and published by JDSI, and there are threatened, endangered species that also we have given a list of these things here. And these are the some of the rare species you could able to inventarize. Jumeirah, black-headed snakes. This is the cousin of the Himalayan representative. And down below you are seeing the brown whip snake. Normally it looks like we know the green whip snake, like as you see in the green color here. But brown whip snake, it looks like brown color, but when it is excited, the pattern, it exhibits this kind of pattern. So it's a rare photograph again. And also we have the highly deadly dangerous pit viper, that is called bamboo pit viper. It looks like color is a green color, and it mimics green whip snake and non-poisonous snake, but it's a deadly poisonous snake. Look at its head. It's a triangular head, and these are some of the species. And also you're seeing hornet wasps here, plenty of hornet wasps. See, it builds, it is an excellent architect, excellent civil engineer. It builds multi-story building kind of things, and it knows the thermodynamics of the physics. It also, while construction itself, it chews the dried leaves and twigs and combines with the saliva and builds its own nest without spending any external energy, without consuming any natural resources except the dried leaves and all these things. And when air passes through these vents, because of the adiabatic expansion and contraction, it creates its own air conditioning, and thus it enjoys the at least 78 degrees difference of temperature from outside to inside. So these are some of the important things. And another component of the Eastern Ghats are the tribal communities, indigenous community, the Chenchos in the Nalamalais region. They're the primitive tribals. Still they're acting for the primitive way of livelihood. They're the food gatherers and hunters. And these people, they're very simple. They live in a small circular houses, and very simple in their approach. And they do not accumulate any wealth. They do not bring any produce and save in the lean months. So whenever they feel hungry, they move in the forest, collect something, eat there, and come back home. There's a thing. Another tribe in the is Belter. We have the Lambadas. They are the pastoral community, and now because of the degradation of the habitat and all these things, these tribals, once they used to enjoy the luxury of the food and nutrition, now they are going for the cutting of the trees and all these things. A lot of smuggling is also taking place, and because of all these things, things are habitat is being degraded, and also excess removal for the gum tapping to caryophyllens, and this tree has become a highly endangered. And because unless all the members of the family go for the fishing or hunting and all these things, so they are unable to feed the their house members, even the young and children also, they go for the fishing. Keeping all these things in the mind, now I would like to give how we could able to manage. Say now you know that very important international events already held one international event. That is the Earth Day. Dharitri Dinam is a celebrated to pledge support for environmental protection on 22nd April this year. The theme is Restore Our Earth. And now today is our International Biodiversity Day. It's a larger initiative of international cooperation. Today's theme is we are part of the solution. We are not the part of the problem. We should not be the part of the problem. We should be the part of the solution. And I'll be elaborating how we could able to give the solution to the pertinent issues in this Eastern Ghats in my slides. And the next month, we are going to celebrate World Environment Day. The theme is ecosystem restoration. These three are very appropriate in this particular decade, and we have the international body, that is the Convention on Biological Diversity, sent headquarters at the Montreal, Canada, and that gives the different kinds of suggestions, directions for the entire world community and following to manage these natural resources without any bias. So if you look at the themes of international biodiversity for the last 19 years, and this year is the 20th year, it talks all about the natural resource management starting from 2000 onwards. It talks about the forest biodiversity, talks of the poverty alleviation of the people, and also talks about the food, water, and health, and also talks of the life insurance for the changing world, protect biodiversity in dry lands, and biodiversity and climate change related, biodiversity and agriculture, invasive alien species, biodiversity development, poverty reduction, forest biodiversity, marine biodiversity, water and biodiversity, island biodiversity, convention biological diversity held in 2015. In 2012, India hosted in Hyderabad Biological Diversity Convention, and biodiversity and sustainable tourism celebrating 2018 celebrated 25 years of action for biodiversity, and 2019 our biodiversity, our food and health, and 2020 we are celebrating our solutions are in nature. Nature is a master scientist, master laboratory. There are lots of science, technology, sociology, whatnot. Every discipline, what you study in university, you'll find in the nature. So therefore, our solutions are already there in the nature. The only thing is we need to extract, we need to mimic, we need to learn. Before you could be able to learn from the nature, I think we are fast depleting the resources and will be the losers. Now this year we are the part. The theme is we are the part of the solution. That's for nature. People complain that your wild animals are depredating the crops. People also say that your tiger and panthers are killing all our domestic animals. At the same time, the indigenous tribals, they protect these animals. Only the people living in the plain areas, they complain against the animals. But whereas the indigenous tribes, they consider the tiger as their peddanna. That's a big brother. See, once the tiger fell in a well, our Chinchu tribes, they informed us immediately in the night. Immediately we went there. We rescued the animal by constructing a ladder. By constructing a ladder with the help of our tribals, and we dropped the ladder, and the tiger climbed onto the top, and we were able to protect these animals. That's how the forest department immediately is taking steps in protecting this valuable, invaluable species. At times, this kind of things are happening when the people are going into forest for the collection of non-wood forest produce and also collection of the grass. When they assume the crouching shape, when they sit for cutting the grass and all these things, mistakenly the animals animals mistake that this is an animal close to their den and pounce upon the humans, and unnoticingly they kill it. And they don't eat, simply they just lick it and they leave it. See, these are the animals, they respect mostly the humans. They salute us because I can guarantee tell the world community that I lived with these animals continuously for 40, 45 years in the jungles, uh, and stayed at one single place in Eastern Ghat, and never was, and I could able to see these animals very close proximity, about 10 feet distance, but never have been hurt by these animals. So whenever they enter into the villages, we go to the villages, we tranquilize the animals or put the traps, and we capture these animals and release them back into the remote areas of the forest. Thus, we contribute for the protection of the ensure the safety of these animals. And there is a lot of complaint from the Kurnool district that these antelopes, especially the black buck, they're crop depredating the entire produce. So that time we cannot go for tranquilizing these animals because these are herbivore animals. Once you go for the tranquilizing, what happens? Immediately they regurgitate the eaten grass and all these things, and that goes into the wind tube, and they die immediately. This is a Schedule 1 animal. We cannot take chance. We cannot kill these animals, and ready-made solutions are not available. When the chief minister asked us to capture these animals, we informed that time the chief minister Chandrababu Naidu that this is a Schedule 1 animal and die of shock and all these things. But somehow that he could able to convince when he goes to the villages. But when the regime of Dr. Rajshekar Reddy came, he did not listen at us, and he wanted us to do some research and come forward with the solutions. Yes, by that time I've been doing the research in the Nalamalas. I have started work on this thing before, because we know that at any point of time this will definitely come onto our shoulders. So we have designed. That time we requested for the 3 helicopters from South Africa, something, or Canada or somewhere. But that time people laughed at us. The ministers laughed at us. See, when we don't have a single helicopter for our chief minister, we are requesting for the 3 helicopters. Then the chief minister told them, yes, if it is needed, we will definitely provide it. And meanwhile, he asked us to go for some research with the indigenous technologies. And I am of the opinion that with no expenditure, very little expenditure with the indigenous technology, I think we can give the solutions. Now we could able to give the solution. We could able to capture 6,000 black buck and translate it about 350 kilometers distance to the safe distance and to the place where they used to be there in that particular area, from this area. Thus, we could able to give the practical solution to the farmers suffering from the crop depredation of antelopes. And this is a very big sign. A very big book has been drafted, and it needs a lot of precaution because this dies of shock and dies of cardiac arrest and all these things. We need to take lots of precautions, and taking all the precautions, and we translocate these animals in the night, capture these animals in the night using the searchlights and all these things. Previously, to protect our natural resources, we used to have the regulatory mechanism with the lathis and guns and all these things. And because the population is increasing, people's demands are also increasing, and no longer the regulatory mechanism only will help. So unless we take the people into the confidence, then we started participating in management of the forest resources, combined with the research and extension. We have started a beautiful biodiversity research laboratory in the wild in Eastern Ghats, and that has been rated as the first of its kind in the world itself by the Biodiversity Apex Institute, that is CBD, and they have also recorded in the visitors record in the laboratory. So we have started implementing eco-development, that is ecological development, and with a community development approach. So in the ecological development, habitat enrichment practices, we started simultaneously sustainable development of the communities. Unless you take care of the people, people are not no longer they're ready to work with us. So therefore, a plan has been devised by me and submitted to the World Bank, and along with that, motivated battalions of people, conducted thousands of trainings, and started implementing the project, World Bank project. By the time World Bank entered into Andhra Pradesh, and we are ready with the plan and started, and World Bank was very happy with that, and we requested about 13 crores of rupees, and immediately the World Bank has sanctioned and Government of India started implementing this project. These are some of the achievements I'll be telling, and many alternative income generation programs have been given to the people, and many trainings are given, and small scale cottage industries and also been conducted. This is the research laboratory. I started this as back as 1995 itself as a eco research and monitoring laboratories in Nallamala Hill Ranges. We did not have much funding for the starting of this kind of research. I was one among the three-man member committee. Other two are Director Botanical Survey of India and the Director Geological Survey of India. We have been asked to do for the environmental impact assessment survey for the Right Branch Canal, Right Branch Canal that takes the water to from Nagal Sagar Sricham Reservoir to the Tamil Nadu. So that time we could able to bargain some funds for the establishment of the biodiversity research laboratory. So then with that funds, we started biosystematic studies. That's the inventory of both flora and fauna, and also extracting the eco-technology from the nature, ecological economics, bioprospecting studies, eco-development studies, ethnomedico-botanical studies, bioinformatics using the information technology and biomedics and conservation biology and management of the modern management of the biodiversity in the protected area network of the protected area network. So that's how a deep foundation has been laid in the Eastern Ghats, and we have conducted several field studies, both floral and faunal field studies, and we brought the specimens. There itself we used to live in the forest in the tents and all these things, weeks together, months together, and collected a lot of information. That information we brought it and processed it through the computer programming and all these things. And specimens have been collected and deposited in this research laboratory. And lot of work has been done in the Eastern Ghats. Both academic and scientific work has been done simultaneously. The academic and scientific work that has yielded many management solutions to the pertinent issues that has been there in the Eastern Ghats. So these are the results of this thing, and these are some of the results. These are thing, and many of these geocline elegans, that is tot has been smuggled from these areas in the Eastern Ghats, and we could able to capture the hunters, especially the smugglers from the airports and seaports, using the technique that is installing some kind of uh, 1 minute, injecting some elements into the species, and whenever we used to recapture these animals at the ports and airports, and we used to see that using with a scanner, and whether it has been poached from the Eastern Ghats or somewhere else, and that's how we could able to segregate the population from the Gujarat population from the southern India populations. And also we have done lots of regeneration processes for which uh, we made a detailed catchment study areas. And this is the, as I told in the beginning itself, the upland catchment area. It used to give a lot of rainfall. It used to collect a lot of rainfall, and all these waters are drained into down streams and all these things. Within no time, the entire area becomes very hard, and no water is to be calculated. So therefore, we made GIS and remote sensing studies, and we could able to estimate how this water is draining into these man-made reservoirs and all these things, and where exactly all these drains have been broken and all these things, and we repaired all these things and got repaired them, and the water rained into the natural and artificial reservoirs. So for which we made a watershed and catchment development for this thing using erosion response model, and we have delineated uh, highly thirsty areas, highly critical areas, highly vulnerable areas, and we started investing money in those highly critical areas by developing micro catchment areas, and where exactly the check dams, where exactly the earthen dams and contour burning, contour check dams, and all these, where exactly we should construct it. See, instead of going randomly, we made a detailed study, and by which, through which, by which studies and implementing this project, the entire moisture regime and the Eastern Ghats is improved. Now, what you are saying is, so using the people's knowledge, and we started constructing earthen gravity dams instead of masonry gravity dams. We use the earthen gravity because soil is available and people's knowledge is also there, because of our experience and we learnings from the forest colleges, because we are taught about the civil engineering and all these things. So we implemented what all we have been learned from the forestry trainings and all these things. We started implementing without spending much amount, with a very cost benefit. We made a cost benefit analysis. The benefit is about 100 times more than the cost we have invested on this thing. So these are the some of the studies we made, and the large part of the Eastern Ghats, they were suffering for the from water, because 10 years in the Nalamalais, there was not even a drop of water in this forested area. There used to be water, there used to rain and all these things, but where it is going, because of the construction of these things and all these things, now all the cascading water reservoirs they filled and overflow to the down below, and especially the Telangana part of that's Amrabad plateau and the place in Amrabad area, they are much benefited, and they have represented the ministers, members of parliament, MLAs and all these things, because there was no solution, because not much study has been done by anybody. Because of our study, we could able to give a pertinent solution. Thereby, now people started that place that time. They used to get only one good crop in a 3 years time, but whereas they started harvesting in some places 3 crops in a year. That was the thing, and also brought uh, unplowed areas into the crop areas, and with a small investment, you could able to bring this degraded areas, drought-prone areas into the good wetland areas, and now people have started cultivating the grains. Otherwise, these people, what you are seeing here, this is from the smuggling villages. Now they have been given about 9 months work in their farmlands. They have the farmland, but there was no water, and the lands were with the rocks, stones are strewn everywhere, and all these things have been removed, and the lands have been plowed with the tractors with the cost investment from the World Bank funding, and we could able to bring them into the mainstreaming of the life. And also we taught them what kind of structures they should collect, and all the small water pools have been developed in the forested area, so that the animals will get the water in the dry season, and they will not go into the villages and all these things. So that's how a lot of work has been done, and we processed through these things. And also we have that estimate at that time, we don't have the camera traps, and then we started processing. We put the manual collection of these pug marks, and and translated into the plaster of Paris and taken the close photography and digitized the contours of the pass, contours of the toes and all these things, and using the trigonometrical equations and all these things. Here we applied mathematics, applied GIS and remote sensing knowledge, and we could able to segregate and we could able to identify about almost 60 tigers are there in this area. And people used to say that there are no tigers. Government of India, it was almost ready to denotify the status of tiger reserve from this area. Then with the help of our study, a scientific study, and we could able to prove it. Dr. Jairam Ramesh, the central minister, he could, when he has conducted a, convened a meeting for all the officers, we have represented that meeting and challenged for those armchair conservationists at the Delhi level and said that we have the tigers, about 60 tigers, and we are ready to show it. What they say is, you were part of Eastern Ghats or with the Naxals, and they are allowing the people to cut the trees and kill the animals. How can we believe it? Then there was an answer with the photographic evidence, slides, and all these things. We educated the team sent by the central minister, and they have seen it, and they were very much satisfied. They went round the nook and corners of the areas, and wherever we did not take them, they have shown it. Can you able to take this point, this point, this point? So wherever they want to go, we took them, and they informed the central minister. Within a week days, he had come out there, and with his and he was warned by the both the SPs from Mahabub Nagar and Kannur not to stay in the forest area, forest guest houses, as there is every possibility of threat for his life. And he looked at me. I told him, "Sir, you will be very comfortable. No problem, sir. We are there." We could able to convince the smugglers, convince the poachers, and through them there was a message gone to them, and now they are totally changed people, and they are not allowing the smugglers to cut the trees. They are not being encouraged. So he stayed with us for 3 days. A central minister stayed with us and 3 hours in my class, and he was very much satisfied and declared that. And the tiger reserve in Andhra Pradesh, now in Telangana, is doing an excellent job, and he was very much happy and promoted for some and promoted us for some awards. So we process through information, because a lot of information is accumulated. Unless we propose, we will process it and utilize for the management of the resources. It is of no use of gathering information except for writing the scientific papers. So we utilize all these things using the remote sensor GIS technology. We have used to perambulate the entire area, both on the land, both on the river, and educated the people there. We took the smugglers and poachers to those areas while giving extensive training. We used to take them to those areas where they used to cut the trees and fell the trees and kill the animals. Into those forested area, we made them to sit there, we made them to sleep under the trees and eat under the trees. And along with them, we also stayed in the forest area and developed a package called conservation holic education. I named it as a consolic education. It is nothing but the psychological transformation through conservation holic education. पर्यावरण व्यसन शिक्षण द्वारा मानसिक जागृतिकरण. This has really yielded a convincing results to the people, and most of the smugglers, they wanted to change their lives, and they wanted to come into the mainstream of the result, and they wanted some kind of leadership from the department, and we could able to extend the leadership and also take care of their welfare in that area. So that's how people have participated, and we make these people to play ecological games and all these things, and we have given them the binoculars and made those people to appreciate this. There's a big story behind it. I think you will be shortly will be seeing in one of them another magazines, because hardly there is any time to deliberate here. And we took the people, smugglers and poachers, to different conservation areas within the state and outside the states, and people are got convinced both in the optimizing the agricultural productivity in those areas and all these things, and also developed a mobile exhibition van and sent to different villages and made the people to understand. And about 16 dioramas we conducted, and it denotes about the starting from the origin of the universe, origin of the planet Earth, and build up of the ecology of the area, and evolutionary process from the for the last 350 crores of years time, and what is the present situation scenario, and all these things are explained in this one, and it served to many people in the state and also country, and all sorts of all countries of people have been educated, and also to give the good revenue to the local people, we develop some ecological tourism, and also so lots of tourist spots are there. Instead of spoiling, instead of felling, I think one should enjoy by taking the photographs and all these things. So because of these things, our intervention, so income to the locals are increased, and well-being has been improved, and food security has been developed. More sustainable use of natural resources they have been taught, and decreased vulnerability. So not only even people from different parts of the country that come here and say these are the officers from the Wildlife Institute of India, brought different officials, officers trainees to our areas, and they are very much replicated this model elsewhere in the country also. So, and this is a classic example how a highly degraded area has been restored back and rejuvenated, and all this we have done it in the Srisailam, Sundipandi itself. This area has been, the trees have been felled, animals are poached, and the soil has been degraded and drained, and soil erosion taken place. The rocks are exposed, and area has been occupied by the local villages and all that. Graveyards have come up and all these things, could able to convince the people and bring a change by bringing some water from the local waterfalls and all these things. We laid some pipelines, and with the sprinkler irrigation, we brought a stitch, and see the representative tree, how it was and how it is changed. And these are the kind of things. And the local graveyards, they have not been dismantled by convincing the local people and allotting some area outside, and we covered the graveyards with the stones and soils, and made an undulating land, and developed with the grasslands and all these things here. So this is a kind of luring herbivore animals to this area, so that the predatory species also move into that area. So these animals, they have evacuated this area about 30 years and started migrating into this area. That's how the highly degraded area become highly productive areas in these things. This is a classic example of the our themes: restoration of ecosystems, restoration of the planet Earth, and part of the solution this year's present theme. We are the part of the solution. We are not the part of the problems. That's how we have empowered the villages. Gender participation was made imminent. Socio-economic improvement is done, and people's aspirations have been increased. Once the degraded habitat is restored, village tanks are improved, that supported irrigation, and also crop yield has been increased, and smuggled routes in the village have been plugged, animal population increased. That is the result. The tiger population has been increased and proliferating. See, once the tiger population increasing means the prey population, the food population of the tigers or apex animals increasing. That means good vegetation is improving. That means good soil is being protected. Soil is the water infiltrate into the soil. Soil works as a sponge, and to build up 1 inch soil, nature takes 2,500 to 5,000 years. To lose 1 meter deep soil hardly takes a few minutes time. So that's how, through the vegetative measures, by involving the local people with appropriate technology, both local and indigenous technology, and also high-tech technology, we could able to improve the soil moisture conditions of this area. So this closes at present my topic. If anybody wants in detail, I have still hundreds of slides. I made it how and for each of these technology and all these things, and I will share it. Thank you very much for your patient hearing and having given me time about 1 hour 15 or 20 minutes time. Thank you very much to Dr. Sadasivaya and the faculty of the Jadcherla College and university, professors, scientists, academicians, and everyone and all the participants. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your elaborated lecture on biodiversity of Eastern Ghats, especially Nallamalas of Andhra Pradesh and also Telangana. Now, I would like to invite the co-convener of the webinar, Mr. Srinivas Rao Garu, to give a feedback on this lecture. Sir, please.
So, very great. Good afternoon to everyone. I'm Srinivas Rao. I'm so glad and very happy to share the feedback of Tulsi Rao sir. I'm so happy and privileged to share. It's a very interesting, it's a binocular scope of Eastern Ghats, and he has illustrated very well. And I have noticed in the biodiversity concept, everybody talks about Western Ghats only and Himalayas. But it's the first time I heard a talk about Eastern Ghats and their livelihood and biodiversity, which is across the Eastern Ghats. I'm very much privileged, and it's very eye-opening session, and which brought all the elements and which are included, and from so what exactly the Eastern Ghats consist and how the biodiversity is inclined with respect to the flora and fauna and how they are integrated each other. And the session mainly a thought provoking for us. How come a biodiversity including a ecological biodiversity and all the things, and how the people are integrated with the biodiversity and their activities, the threats to the biodiversity and ecosystem, and he come up with great preventive measures how to overcome the threats which are happening to the biodiversity. And now we are in the genre where we are encountering with various type of problems which are threatening the biodiversity. But sir has given a very good examples, and the rescue measures and transformation measures he has taken to overcome the biodiversity threats. And he has given the values, and the talk mainly went with the rescue measurements with a small approaches which anybody can apply and do. And also awareness programs what the SAR has conducted throughout his tenure are very fabulous and very interesting. Very simple awareness programs made many of the people to transform themselves, not to cut the trees and rescue the animals, and stopping the hunting programs and all the things. And it's very much impressive talk, sir. And also we are very much impressed with the work you have done. So many people do work, but you convinced the ministers and the central ministers, and you made many programs and which have changed the Eastern Ghats face, especially Amrabad Tiger Reserves and especially our Nallamala Tiger Reserves has restored with their names with your efforts, sir. And we are very much grateful to you for giving a elaborated discussion regarding values of the biodiversity with respect to ecological and social and cultural values which are vested with the biodiversity. So once again, I'm very much thankful to you, Tulsi Rao sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, Ravindra sir is there. The Vice Principal of the Dr. BRR Government College, Jadcherla. Ravindra Rao sir.
Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Are you there? Would you like to speak anything on this occasion, please?
Just a minute, sir, just a minute.
Yeah, please, sir.
Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you for inviting me. Am I
Thank you.
audible, sir?
Yes, sir, you are audible now.
Okay, sir. Okay. Sir, I would like to ask one question to Tulsi Rao, sir. Sir, we have been facing a lot of problems in the degradation of biodiversity around us. Meanwhile, what the human being is thinking is that he want to live in Mars without any diversity. He want to live in Mars and want to become Martian. But how can he make a sustainable life on Mars without having any biodiversity there? This is my question, sir. This is my point of discussion with you, Tulsi Rao, sir. Please share your opinion, sir.
Hello, Tulsi Rao, sir.
Sir,
Hello.
hope sir is not available. Hello. Okay, Sada, share your opinion on this. Hello, Sadasiva.
Sir, please, sir.
Hello.
Please answer the question, sir.
Sir, please answer the question, sir. Tulsi Rao, sir.
Hello.
Sir.
Hello.
Please answer the question, sir.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, sir.
Okay. First thing is, it is foolishness to think that we could live in other planet, first of all. There are unseen number of positive aspects. First of all, reduce our carbon footprint on this planet. Reduce the population explosion. Second thing is, lot of other by conserving whatever we left now, by conserving, by protection of our natural resources, I think it supports. Already we have crossed the 1 2K. The natural resources of the planet, they used to support us 12 months in a year. Now they have repeated to the extent that they provide only for the 5 months in a year. So, through careful management of the planet, as given by the Convention of Biological Diversity and other environmental features, countries should be very scrupulous in maintaining the ecological balance of the planet. Now, because Corona, what all that we did not learn, now everyone started implementing, cleaning our hands and all these things, and maintain distance, wearing the mask and all these things. See, that kind of situation is not very far off, where every one of us has to move it. Oxygenation of that. If that is so, how many of us could make the expenditure of buying oxygen? Not even Philippines, not even the President of America. So it is a high. So that's why we should celebrate the International Day for the sake of celebration. But everybody should be they should have instilled spirit to them. So we should work with the spirit, not with the slogan, not with the just having some knowledge. I think if we cannot live in the Mars, any amount of technology that totally changes the human evolutionary process. That cannot be matched with the natural evolutionary process. So it is foolishness of thinking. So there is no oxygen, there is no atmosphere. Water is also not there. So maybe it might be there, it used to be there. But who knows that people like us, some intelligent people, and they need all these things, and they not such a natural discourse. So water is also accepted from the place. So also it is not far away, where all the oceans will be dried up. If the atmosphere is lost in space. So it is high time that everyone should take care. Each individual should take care to protect this planet Earth. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. And also, thanks for the organizers to organizing a very beautiful seminar. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Sir, actually what happened just now, power has gone at the home of Tulsi Rao, hence